What a shock! Is the royal family on the brink of collapse? Secret diagnoses, public manipulation, and a new sensation in the Kate Middleton case. In just one day, the usually demure and reserved Duchess has found herself at the center of heated discussions once again. Recent statements by experienced reporters, who had previously remained silent about the shocking diagnosis of the princess, have left fans utterly perplexed. Is it true that we have believed a lie? Or is this all a meticulously planned palace operation? Read on to discover how a seemingly insignificant detail, overlooked by journalists, might dismantle the age-old foundations of the royal household. After the Princess of Wales appeared at the summer Trooping the Colour Parade, social media quieted down a bit, and interest in Kate gradually waned. But just recently, the discussion about Prince William's wife's diagnosis has resurfaced as a hot topic on social media. This resurgence was fueled by a report from Sky News journalist Rhiannon Mills, in which she referred to Kate's condition as precancerous cells. Rhiannon Mills is a respected, accredited journalist who is part of the Royal Rota. She is not Omid Scobie or someone who could be accused of collaborating with Montecito and spreading intentional misinformation. Her status made many people decide that Kate's ailment was merely a precancerous condition and nothing more. In March, the princess confirmed that after abdominal surgery, precancerous cells had been discovered, and she would need to undergo preventative chemotherapy, the journalist writes. Let's be honest, Kate mentioned cancer, not precancerous cells, and an experienced royal journalist knew this well. Her words are especially surprising because all Royal Rota reporters are essentially palace spokespersons and regularly participate in royal press briefings, reporting on upcoming events in the royal family, covering their tours, or simply publishing insider information that the Windsors want to convey to the public without speaking directly. Amidst this situation, theories have resurfaced suggesting that Kate's illness was allegedly publicized to mask more serious issues within the royal family, either with William or someone or something else. Of particular interest is the revelation by royal biographer Robert Hardman that King Charles has been ill for several years, but his diagnosis was announced only after the palace declared Kate's surgery and subsequent disappearance in January. In light of this new scandal, all royal media outlets are quoting a British doctor. A person either has precancerous cells or cancer. The two terms are not interchangeable. After the September video of the Welsh couple in which Kate spoke about completing her treatment, fans of the couple breathed a sigh of relief, deciding that the worst was over and the princess had recovered. William essentially confirmed this by stating that Kate felt very well and shared plans for the coming year. However, following Rhiannon Mills' report, many British television figures and ordinary social media users have come to believe that Kate never had cancer. A significant uproar was caused by a post from British media personality Narinder Kaur, who shared a message asserting that Kate never suffered from this illness. Kaur also expressed amazement at how youthful the princess looks. She faced severe criticism for her comments, leading her to record an apology video. Nevertheless, conspiracy theories about the palace lying to people about Kate's diagnosis continue to gain traction. Meanwhile, any discussions on this topic would instantly cease if Rhiannon Mills were to retract her statement about precancerous cells and admit her mistake. The palace could also put an end to the rumors by issuing a statement on the matter, as they have done in other cases. A few words from a palace representative would suffice. Yet, for some reason, this isn't happening. The palace often manages to correct minor errors made by on-duty journalists, and the fact that no correction was issued is significant, writes the Daily Beast. If neither the palace nor the journalist provides any retractions, more people will likely believe that Rhiannon Mills intentionally made an error in her report to reignite new rumors and conspiracy theories surrounding Kate. For example, as a way to divert public attention from the scandal involving William and Charles's dirty millions, which they purportedly collect from renting slums, schools, charities, and hospitals. Fans of Katherine became even more concerned after her appearance at the Festival of Remembrance at the Royal Albert Hall. Initially greeted with admiration for her return, there were soon hints of worry. "We should all be concerned for her. She didn't look very well," stated actor Christopher Biggins about Kate. He didn't hold back, expressing his concern on GB News, suggesting that all of Britain should pay attention to the Duchess's tired appearance. The royal press, however, welcomed Kate with open arms. Arthur Edwards, a former royal family photographer, remarked that Kate's smile, like a true thunderclap, brightened the hearts of everyone who saw her. Journalists eagerly discussed her outfits and jewelry, speculating on which of her ancestors she was paying tribute to. But let's return to Biggins' comments. His opinion did not align with the general admiration. The actor hinted that the princess's extra efforts had taken a toll on her appearance. "The efforts she made to be here were extremely important," he expressed, noting the absence of the Queen from the significant event. Host Isabel Webster also joined the discussion, suggesting that Kate might not have slept well the night before. Preparation for the Festival of Remembrance at the Albert Hall and overall stress might have affected her condition. Yet, the princess shone fantastically the previous day. Some observers focused critically on the contrast between the evening event photos and daytime shots. Images by royal photographer Chris Jackson portrayed an idealized Kate, flawless and youthful, unlike the more realistically honest daytime photos. Yesterday's images seemed to be a more honest portrait of the princess. Yes, time marches on, and none of us are getting younger. The princess, as always, appeared before the public unretouched and unembellished. Her tiredness might have entirely harmless roots, genetic traits that even royals can't avoid. Although the princess has completed her treatment and, according to her circle, including William himself, feels great, attention to her health and appearance remains at a peak. Biographer Robert Jobson reported that Kate is getting back in shape, working out at the gym, and preparing for joint overseas tours with William. Concerns about her tired look seem less justified. The royal media's extravagant devotion to Photoshop is well known. It seems there's no serious cause for concern, except perhaps an excess of retouching. And we think it's worth giving a like in support of Princess Catherine. Also, the public is currently very emotionally discussing another episode involving Kate Middleton, and we can't wait to tell you about it. So watch this video to the end to discover all the shocking details. That Sunday was significant for many who followed Princess Kate's challenging journey after her diagnosis in March 2024. It seemed her efforts to attend a church service in a secluded corner of Scotland conveyed not just a tradition-keeping gesture but a real message to the public. She was well enough to travel. Amid the quiet hills of Scotland, where a modest church stands in the shadow of Balmoral Castle, Kate Middleton made her surprising return. It was August the 25th, a day that witnessed not just another public appearance by the princess, but an attempt to convey something more meaningful. Among the gathering of early morning attendees were both locals and royal fans who traveled from afar with hopes of seeing Kate, whose public appearances since her diagnosis had become rare. Kate appeared alongside King Charles, stirring excitement among the crowd. She was graceful and composed, but her eyes reflected the challenges of the past months. This event meant more to her than just fulfilling another royal duty. As the service began, the air inside the church filled with the melodies of hymns. Tension was palpable, with everyone anticipating a significant moment. And as the service neared its conclusion, Kate did something unexpected. She stepped forward with a sense of confidence in every stride. The congregation held its breath. Her address unfolded like a theatrical performance. Her voice was soft, yet it resonated with power, touching the hearts of everyone present. "I want to thank you for your prayers and kindness. Your faith has given me more strength than I could express," she said. Her simple yet heartfelt words moved those in attendance. The moment was enveloped in profound silence, an emotional energy sweeping through the assembly. The princess, standing before the gathered crowd, created something sacred around her. Her voice echoed off the stone walls of the ancient church, adding a touch of tenderness to the atmosphere. In recent months, The public had seen only glimpses of her dignified battle with illness. But it was in this small Scottish church, amidst the tranquility and nature, that people witnessed a truly personal and touching moment. Her eyes wandered across the room, embracing both familiar and unfamiliar faces. As she spoke, "Much of this year's time I have spent in reflection. What would happen next?" Each word of the princess echoed off the sanctuary's walls, leaving a deep imprint on the hearts of all present. Kate's time of reflection and discovery had led her to new insights about life, family, and faith, a journey that was not easy. Despite all the challenges she faced, the princess felt profound gratitude for the support and love that surrounded her. The room was so silent that one could hear a pin drop as she shared her thoughts. Her words were measured and clear, needing no grandiosity. This was a moment of sincerity and revelation. "The love and support I have felt from all of you, from my family, from complete strangers, have given me strength I never knew I had," she continued, her gratitude boundless for these words. It wasn't just the princess's words that touched the hearts of those gathered. It was her vulnerability, the openness laid bare before a nation anxious about her diagnosis. For a long time, everyone discussed her health and future. But here, at this moment, she revealed the truth, telling her story as a person facing the darkest of times. In the silence, she said something that sent shivers through everyone in the room. "I have realized that true faith is found not in our strongest moments, but when we feel the weakest. During such times, we must hold on to hope, for it is hope that sustains us." Her words enveloped the space, and many did not hide their tears, while others simply sat in silence. It became apparent that this event was not just another royal meeting, but a particularly significant moment shared with the chosen few. The princess, as if holding back a surge of emotions, added, "These are the moments that remind me of the power of hope and faith. Thank you for helping me rediscover this." Before returning to her seat, all those present were left in awe of what they had just experienced. As Kate took her place, the effect of her words and their honesty continued to resonate. The congregation remained seated, reflecting on the poignancy of the moment. Just when it seemed the service had reached its emotional peak, something unexpected happened. A brief pause ensued while the minister prepared to conclude the service. Suddenly, breaking the silence, a melody of a familiar hymn emerged from the depths of the church, at first hesitantly, then growing louder. It was a hymn of hope and resilience in tough times, known to almost everyone in the room. Gradually, other voices joined in, blending into an enchanting and profound choir. The hymn grew stronger, and it seemed the walls of the church resounded with the emotions of the gathered people. The harmony was both soothing and exhilarating, and in that moment, time seemed to stand still. Tears filled many eyes, while others held their loved ones more tightly. This spontaneous act of unity felt almost predestined, and Kate, visibly moved by the event, bowed her head and clasped her hands. In this touching moment, as Kate stood and made her way back to her seat, her eyes met those of King Charles, seated nearby. They exchanged a look that needed no words. Within that glance was conveyed all they had been through. Both had been dealing with their own health challenges, with Charles quietly battling cancer. It was a private burden they carried together, but here, surrounded by faith and hope, they shared a silent understanding. As Kate sat down, Charles gently squeezed her hand, conveying reassurance. The power of the hymn seemed to penetrate not only them but also everyone present. For many months, the public had been watching their battles, which carried a deeply personal nature. But in this moment, they were not just royal figures. They were two people finding strength in faith, just like everyone around them. The hymn seemed to last an eternity. However, no one wished for it to end. The atmosphere was imbued with emotions penetrating the soul. It was a shared experience that would be talked about in whispers for a long time. It was more than just a church service. This was a moment that transcended traditions and royal protocols, bringing everyone present closer together in a way that words couldn't fully convey. When the final notes of the hymn faded into silence, no one moved immediately. It felt as though something significant had occurred, something each would carry with them after leaving the church doors. Kate and Charles also seemed changed by the experience, their expressions soft yet filled with resolve, as they rose to leave. As the service concluded, the dense atmosphere of emotions lingered in the air. People slowly got up, as if hesitant to break the enchantment cast by Kate's words and the spontaneous hymn. For those closest to the royal family, this day meant more than just a service. It was a day of resilience shown by Kate and King Charles in their darkest moments. As they made their way out of the church, all eyes were on Kate and Charles walking side by side. This wasn't just a demonstration of monarchical unity. It was something far more personal. Both had undergone trials that tested their fortitude. On the church steps, they paused for a quiet conversation, one that held more understanding than titles or public speeches could convey. Something extraordinary happened when a little girl, no older than 8, approached them holding a small bouquet of flowers, her steps trembling slightly. With a warm smile, Kate knelt down to accept the flowers. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice full of gratitude. The girl, looking into the eyes of her heroine, exhaled, "You're so brave, Your Highness." For a moment, Kate was taken aback by the words, but then she smiled again, this time with quiet determination. "You're brave too," she replied softly. The girl beamed, and this simple exchange of smiles between generations was unforgettable for all who witnessed it. Kate's strength lay not only in her personal struggle, but also in how she inspired others to find their own courage. As the car carrying Kate Middleton and King Charles drove away from Crathy Kirk, the magnitude of what had happened inside the walls of that ancient church enveloped everyone present. Public appearances have always been part of the royal family's duties. But this was different. A moment that felt intensely personal, almost intimate, and yet was shared with the world. Two figures, united by both blood ties and shared trials, stood at the intersection of their personal battles and public roles. For Kate, the future was filled with uncertainty. Although her doctors reassured her that she was recovering from cancer, the emotional toll of this fight was evident. Each appearance was perceived as a test of her strength, not just physically but morally. But today, standing alongside Charles, sharing their mutual challenges, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The marks of battle were impossible to hide, but so was the resilience that had developed within her. King Charles also felt the weight of the crown more heavily in recent months. Although his illness remained largely in the shadows, those close to him saw how it affected him. Yet he remained steadfastly committed to his duty. He had been groomed to lead the nation for decades, but nothing could prepare him for the battles brought by the years, both within himself and in witnessing the new generation, like Kate, confront their trials. As the car traveled along the quiet roads of Balmoral, the silence between Kate and Charles wasn't awkward. It was a silence filled with understanding, a brief respite from the demands of their titles. Charles turned to Kate, his face illuminated by the soft light of the late day. "You did well today," he said, his voice low but full of genuine pride. Kate smiled, but the weight remained in her eyes. "Thank you," she replied quietly, looking out the window at the rolling hills. "It was more than just a service." "Indeed," Charles agreed, following her gaze. "These moments mean more than people realize. It's where we find our strength." They both understood that this would not be their last public challenge. Future trials, both personal and royal, would demand more of them than ever before. News of Kate's emotional return to Crathy Kirk quickly spread, and within hours, images of her addressing the congregation, standing alongside King Charles, filled every corner of the media. But it wasn't the images themselves that captured public attention. It was the genuine emotions behind them. For a long time, royalty had been seen as symbols of strength, grace, and tradition. But today they showed something far more powerful: their humanity. Across the country and even beyond, people were moved by Kate's vulnerability. Social media was swamped with reactions, with many praising her bravery and openness about her cancer journey. Others were touched by the quiet support of King Charles, knowing that he too was facing his own challenges. Their appearance was not just another royal obligation. It was a reminder that hardship spares no one, regardless of status. "Seeing Kate today gave me goosebumps," wrote one user on Twitter. "She has been through so much, yet she stands here, still supporting others. It's a reminder that even in our weakest moments, we can find strength." Another post noted, "The royal family has always seemed untouchable, but today they felt like one of us." Kate's words about faith and hope are just what the world needed to hear right now. It wasn't just praise that poured in from various sources. People who had gone through similar trials, inspired by Kate's courage, shared their own stories of battling illness, finding hope in the darkest moments, and the invisible strength that comes from simply refusing to give up. For many who saw Kate and Charles stand together, facing their challenges, it had particular significance. It was not just about royal duty, but about survival, resilience, and the quiet determination to keep moving forward. In the days that followed, media outlets continued to discuss every detail of the church service, from Kate's heartfelt address to the spontaneous hymn that moved the entire congregation. But no headline could capture the deep impression the event left on the souls of those who witnessed it. For Kate and Charles, it was only the beginning of a new chapter, where their personal battles would intertwine with public duties more than ever. And for the public, their vulnerability only strengthened the bond with the royal family, reminding everyone that ultimately, we are all human. What are your thoughts on this extraordinary event? Share in the comments and subscribe to our channel to learn more.